Daniel Sports Center, we go over a college football game preview and prediction on the 2023 New Mexico Bowl matchup between New Mexico State and Fresno State. Two teams that have had great seasons getting to this point. You got New Mexico State. This is a team that went 10-4 on the season getting to this point. And this is a team that's known for historically being bad. They've only been to 5 bowl games in their almost 100-year history. But this is a 10-win team this season in their second straight bowl game, looking to finish off another season strong as they take on Fresno State. The Bulldogs are 8-4 on the season, but this team started 8-1. They lost their last 3 games of the regular season, so kind of disappointing down the stretch for Fresno State, but they've got a chance to finish out the season on a high note as they take on New Mexico State in the New Mexico Bowl. We'll be over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today. Let's get started with their team trends. New Mexico State lost to Liberty 35-49 in the Conference USA Championship, which kind of surprising seeing this team allow 49 points in that matchup, especially considering defensively this team really was strong down the stretch. But this team did play 14 games this season as well heading into this one, obviously because they played Hawaii on the road back in September. That allows you to add an additional game onto the schedule. So for New Mexico State, 10-4, a 10-win season already for this team. Really impressive what Jerry Kill and this team has done the past couple of years. And you look at Fresno State, this team went 8-4 this season, lost to San Diego State 18-33 to finish out the regular season. Once again, this team was definitely bumpy down the stretch. Really had 3 tough losses to finish out the regular season. Games will be on Saturday the 16th in Albuquerque, and the kickoff is 5:45 p.m. Eastern. Spread's going New Mexico State by 3.5 here. Really no surprise seeing New Mexico State as the favorite, considering they've been much better down the stretch in comparison to Fresno State, who's lost 3 straight. But you look at the over-under, 51.5, and the FPI is going with Fresno State here instead of the spread, going with the Aggies, and Fresno State is favored 54% on the FPI. You look at the bowl history for both teams. Once again, I mean, New Mexico State is not any new team to the FBS or into bowl contention. This is a team that's had a history dating all the way back to 1931, and they've only been to 5 bowl games in their team's history. That's just insane to me. You look at the last 3 games they played in 2022. Last season, they won their game. They also won in 2017. And the bowl game before that was 1960. It's been, I mean, there was a huge gap there from 1960 to 2017 where this team simply just did not make a bowl game. That's got to be one of the longest droughts in history, if not the longest. If you look at Fresno State, this team is 13-12 in bowl history. So this is a much more successful program in general, and they've actually won their last 3 bowl games, one last season and then in 2021, also in 2018. Your stat comparison: New Mexico State 62nd in points per game, 27th in points allowed. This is a strong team in the rushing game, especially. They find ways to win using their backfield. They're 13th in rush yards a game, 78th in pass yards a game. And something that was definitely interesting about this team with stats is when it comes to yards allowed, this team is not very good. I mean, they're 89th in pass defense, 62nd in rush defense, but they don't allow a lot of points, which I guess is what ultimately matters most in the end, as this team is in the top 30 in points allowed per game this season. If you look at Fresno State, this team is 47th in points per game and points allowed. This is a strong team in the passing game, 26th in pass yards a game, and with rushing, 116th in rush yards a game, although, I mean, Malik Sherrod has been pretty good so far this season for the backfield for the Bulldogs, as he's rushed for nearly 900 yards and 9 touchdowns. But there's just not a lot of depth in the backfield for Fresno State, which is total opposite for New Mexico State. The Aggies have a ton of depth when it comes to the backfield and defensively for Fresno State. One of the things you can look at as a potential edge for New Mexico State is that Fresno State is not very good against the run. They are 98th in rush defense, 43rd in pass defense. And if you look at an advantage for Fresno State, they're going up against the 89th ranked pass defense in the country, New Mexico State, although the Aggies find a way to not allow a lot of points, obviously being top 30 in points allowed this season. Your recent matchups: New Mexico State lost to Liberty by a couple of touchdowns there in the conference championship, but otherwise, the way this team played down the stretch was actually very impressive. They allowed 7 points to Middle Tennessee, beat them 13-7, beat a talented Western Kentucky team 38-29, and then the road win against Auburn. This one was really one that I think surprised a lot of people, but honestly, it really shouldn't have. I feel like Auburn was really underestimating New Mexico State as well heading into that one. Because, I mean, for New Mexico State to go on the road in a brutal place to play, by the way, and beating Auburn 31-10, that was extremely impressive what the Aggies did there, and then went and beat Jacksonville State, also an impressive team, 20-17. So, honestly, it was New Mexico State's offense. They've found a way against Liberty, but the defense really had no answers in that matchup, which is why that game was definitely a bit surprising. But for Fresno State, they beat UNLV by a touchdown, beat Boise State by a touchdown, but the last three games, very ugly. Lost to San Jose State 18-42. They lost to New Mexico, a team that's been awful this season, 17-25, and lost to San Diego State by 15. So things have kind of fallen apart for Fresno State down the stretch. And honestly, I mean, I think in my bowl projections, after that Boise State win, I had Fresno State in the New Year's Six, as they were an 8-1 team and looking really good heading into the San Jose State game. But obviously, that has turned a full 180 in the last three games and down the stretch. Your key points: New Mexico State 10-4. This team has only gotten better down the stretch. They find ways to win using the rushing game. That's their main MO, is the rushing game. And when the defense clicks, this team is brutal to beat. That's kind of been the takeaway, I think, for this team, is when this defense can play well, I mean, that's really all that matters. This offense usually is they find ways to win games. And I mean, there have been games where the offense has won the game, and there have been games where the defense has won the game. I mean, you consider the Western Kentucky one, the offense really did their part there, and against Middle Tennessee State, the defense did their part. So it's just a matter of, can both sides of the ball click for Mexico State, and if it does, and if they do, this is going to be a really tough team to beat. But for Fresno State, after an 8-1 start, they're on a 3-game skid. So really a disappointing end to the regular season for this team, looking like a true Mountain West contender. The Mountain West was really just a poor conference this season. You had, 5 teams that were 8 wins plus this season, so you got some depth there, but there really was no standout in the Mountain West this season, which was kind of surprising. But they rely on the passing game, got Mikey Keenan there, who's been a bit inconsistent. It's just, you can't turn over the ball, and turnovers will be huge in this matchup as well. Obviously, in a matchup that should be as close as this one is, turnovers could really make a big difference. And really for Fresno State, it's disappointing down the stretch, but at least they could end off the season on a high note here, which is very much needed in the New Mexico Bowl. But with that, let's get a prediction for New Mexico State and Fresno State coming up here in the New Mexico Bowl. Really one of the sneaky good matchups, I would say, of day one of bowl season. And so with that, I am going with the favorite here. New Mexico State's going to win this one 34-27. The Aggies down the stretch, I know they lost to Liberty, and it wasn't a pretty loss in the Conference USA Championship, but I mean, down the stretch, the Aggies have really only gotten better otherwise. You look at Fresno State, it's been total opposite. This team has kind of fallen apart down the stretch. And also the matchup is pretty good for Mexico State, I do think. They do play into the hand better than Fresno State, I think that's so. New Mexico State, the way this team has also turned the corner the past couple of seasons is really something that should not go unnoticed. I mean, once again, you consider New Mexico State's got a long history. This is a program that's been around for almost 100 years, and this is only their 6th bowl game in their team's history. And so it's really impressive what Jerry Kill and this team have done in the past couple of years. And so with that, I do want to take New Mexico State. I really do think, a well-coached team they've been impressive the past couple of years. So I'm going to say they're going to win at 55%. I'm definitely taking the over in this matchup. I do think we see some decent scoring for sure, and New Mexico State to cover the spread in the end. But with that, let me know your thoughts and comments below on this matchup, your score predictions, all of that. My name's Evan. This is All Sports Central. Stay tuned for more. We'll catch you on the next one.